All right. Thank you guys for making the time to join with us today. I'm so excited. I had posted on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago that working with the brand builders group was literally one of the best business decisions I've ever made. And Elle, I mean, we've built a friendship over the past couple of years just because obviously the work that brand builders has done for me personally, obviously you're an amazing person on top of that, but just the amount of professional growth that I've experienced in working with your team. And I'm just so excited that you're sharing just a little bit of the goodness that your team delivers on a daily basis. So I wanted to just quickly introduce you, Elle, and then I'll turn the floor right over to you, my friend, so we can dive in. All right, guys. So beyond my like silly little, oh, Elle's the best intro, here's Elle's official bio. Elle is a founding member and director of strategic growth at the trend-setting international personal branding firm, Brand Builders Group. She has been the woman behind the scenes of some of the most influential leaders today. And I really hope, Elle, you talk about some of the people that you work with because they really are household names. Elle's no BS approach is valued. She spent the last decade partnering with CEOs, founders like myself, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs in their relentless pursuit for success and impact. Elle is known for cutting through the noise and challenging people to really own who they are. And I have to add my own piece in here that concept of owning who they are, how that translates to business is critical. And that's what we're here to talk about today. But over the past 2 decades, Elle has been instrumental in growing 2 startups to 7 to 8 figures. You've been featured on the Today show in Nashville, Thrive Chicago, Authority Magazine, Boss Babe, and other national outlets. So big things that you've accomplished already. And I'm thrilled that you're spending time with us today. So without further ado, my friend, take it away. Shower us with your wisdom. I'm so excited.
Appreciate that. All right. Hi, y'all. Hi, friends. Today you see my screen? I think we're good here, right? Okay. So ultimately, what we're going to talk about is helping you become more well-known in your space. That is the main goal of what we do at Brand Builders Group. And I just am curious, and obviously I can't see you, but I want you to think, what would it be like to be the first person that came to mind when someone needed insert what you do? Like, how cool would that be if you were the very first person top of mind in every conversation, that if what you offered and what you provide for this world, you were the person that they thought of in an instant. And so that's why understanding the power of building your personal brand and really committing to this process should be a top priority in 2023. And before I even dive into data and why this matters to the success of your business, I just want to clear this thing up, because when people think of personal branding, it's almost inevitable that this is what they think of, right? They think of the Kardashians, and that is not our goal. Maybe for some of you, but for most of the people that we work with, the purpose of building your personal brand has nothing to do with becoming famous, has nothing to do with fanfare. It is all about becoming well-known and sharing your vision, sharing your mission, and helping make an impact in other people's lives. And so what personal branding actually looks like is this. It's entrepreneurs, it's small business owners, it's people just like me and people just like every single one of you that are looking to go out and generate consistent quality leads, grow in your market awareness, and drive revenue while doing it. And so now I know Amanda did share that we have household names. Yes, we do. But we can't all relate to those people, but these are folks you can relate to. So Sherry and John Monty on the left side here, they are the top interior design firm in Seattle. They are incredible. They work with like 5 million plus homes, but which is crazy because when they started working with us a few years ago, their business was driving about 300,000 in revenue. And now in 2023, they're on track to cross their first million. Now on the right-hand side are the Bainies. The Bainies already had a multi-million-dollar business and they were already doing amazing things in this world. However, they now wanted to start a new project, a new business that really fulfilled them in their passion, which is working with other entrepreneurs who are married. And so they were really able to pivot quickly in their industry and create new streams of income because they were able to leverage their brand. So because they already had a brand in place, they were able to make a pivot and make a profit quickly. So the point is, whether you're earlier in your stages of entrepreneurship or if you're already like rocking and rolling and you're killing it, either way, personal branding makes a difference in your life. And so people have that question. So what is a brand, right? Like, what is it? And we think social media, we think ads, and we think websites and colors and logos, and all of that are aspects of what make up your visual brand. But ultimately, what a brand is really simple. It's what people think of when they think of you. That's all a brand is. What people think about when they think of you. So whether you like it or not, you already have a brand. Whether you like it or not, you have one. The question is, are you curating it or are you leaving it up to other people? Now, to give you an example of why you already have a brand, because in other words, we define a personal brand is your reputation. It's your reputation, right? So do you have a great one or not so great one? Do you have a strong positive one or a strong negative one, or is it neutral? Here's how you know is the reputation formula is your results. So what have you done times your reach, who actually knows about it? That's what makes up your reputation. What results do you have and who knows about it? That is how you know if you have a strong positive brand, a strong positive reputation. So why this matters is we actually in 2021, we partnered with the Center of Generational Kinetics out of Texas because we were curious, is personal branding really what we think it is? Is it really that impactful? Does it really make a difference in business today? And so we conducted the first ever nationwide study to dive into the data and why this matters to the success of your business. And what we did is we surveyed people all over the country of different ages, ethnicities, industries, socioeconomic statuses, title, etc., so on and so forth. And we wanted to see is what we actually thought was happening in business will hold up when it's being researched. And so what we found were three major findings that we're going to dive into. The first one, this is the future. This is not just for big companies anymore. It's for small businesses. It's for entrepreneurs. It's for service providers. It's not a fluke. It's not a trend. It's not going anywhere. It is only becoming more and more important and valuable to the success of business today. And so we know from this study, and you're going to see this in a bit, that people are willing to pay more, promote more, buy more, trust more from those who have established personal brands. Now, it's easy to roll your eyes at the idea of personal branding, right? Like it's easy because we immediately think of like silly dances and photos of your food or posts of people's opinions that no one ever asked for. But this has quickly become a critical component of business today. And y'all, like, it's not about vanity or anymore. It's much more critical and essential. And I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm just saying this is how it actually is today. And so the second data point, like I mentioned, is it is highly profitable. It doesn't matter what role you play in your company. If you're a frontline salesperson or if you're the CEO, at the end of the day, your personal brand is a moneymaker. Now that's assuming you don't suck. So I'm just going to put this out there. If you suck offline, you're going to suck online. But if you're awesome, you're going to be awesome online as well. So it allows us to make more money because this is what I love. 67% of all Americans will spend more money if their personal values align with your personal brand. So why I love that is because your personal brand will actually bring in and allow you to align with customers or bring in and attract customers who are aligned with you. Like, imagine what it would be like if every single one of your clients aligned with your values. Like, you would love working with them, all of them. You would really appreciate it. You would want to spend more time with them. There's so many benefits to attracting the people that you want to attract. The way you do that is by putting your personal brand and make it really strong because it allows people to get to know you and see if they align with you. The other thing here, it's a trust accelerator. So here's how. think of the people that you trust the most in your life, right? You know them. You have a relationship with them. You see them, you learn from them. Like we have a client, she has a very engaged and loyal following, as well as a successful med spa business in NorCal. So she has 5 med spas in Northern California. And it's funny to me because these women come to her clinics, like they will drive an hour to her clinics just because they want to meet her. Now, they trust her because of her presence online and the proven results she's gotten. But what they only know about, which they only know about her results, and they only know anything about her because of an online presence. That's it. The only reason why they know who she is. But they immediately have this transference of trust based off of what they see online. So she actually oftentimes isn't even performing the procedure. And quite often she's not even in the clinic. 9 out of 10 times she's not doing it, but they still go because of the trust in her that is then passed on to her team. And as you can see here, 82% of Americans will agree that regardless of your age, gender, and race, etc., they agree that they have been influenced by whether or not their executive of a company or founder of a company has a strong personal brand that they know and they follow. So a personal example, within the last 5 months, I've been on this huge search for a mastermind to join. And I stumbled across this guy online. I've never heard of him. He's a 9-figure entrepreneur, knew nothing about him. And I started following and watching his content and seeing what he put out. And I signed up for a few webinars and just really kind of took my time getting to know, like, does this guy align with me? Well, I then took the first step in buying a ticket to an event he put on, which was a few $1,000s. And then at the event, I made the decision to join the mastermind, which was a huge, huge investment for me personally at the time. And so within just a short few months, he has netted a ton of money just because I saw him online. I started following him. I paid attention to his content and I saw, does his values align with mine? Is his messaging what I'm looking for? Am I actually the type of person he's best positioned to serve? And all of that lined up, but I was able to experience that through everything that they had put out online. So this works. Like, it works on me, it works on everyone, right? So I want to look at the role and impacts of personal brands today and look at the data of it, of how it plays in business. Because here's the deal, this isn't brand new stuff. Like, corporate brands have been relying on personal brands for decades to help sell and market and promote their products. Example of that, if you ever read the book Shoe Dog, you know that Nike's main marketing strategy was to get their sneakers on Olympic runners that they hoped people would want to buy their shoes. So that's not new. But what is new is that personal brands carry more weight than ever before. Those with personal brands hold more trust, more credibility, and more connection with the general public than they ever have before. So 75% of Americans are more likely to trust someone with an established personal brand than someone who does not have one. So that's the majority, y'all. Like, that's not a mistake. That is the majority. And right now, below, you see the pie graph. You can see we broke it down underneath the pie graph by generations. And my guess, depending, I don't know y'all's businesses, most of them are probably not baby boomers. They could be, but the majority probably fall somewhere between Gen X and older millennials, which means if you put your time and your effort into your brand, you will have already earned someone's trust before you ever meet them. Like, could you imagine what that conversation would look like? Could you imagine what sales would look like with that? It's just like getting a warm referral from people. So when you struggle with referrals in your business, like, this is a way to ensure you're getting warm connections on the front end. Here's what's crazy. As a millennial myself, I know this to be true. When I'm looking for a service, I go to my friends. So if I'm looking to buy new skincare, I go to my 2 best friends who work in the industry and get their input. When I'm thinking of new makeup, I reach out to the friend whose makeup's only on point. Like my lashes, like that was a friend who recommended these to me. When I want to check out a new restaurant, like I go to my friend Isla and Thomas, where they go to every new restaurant in Nashville. And I want to know, where do I spend my, like, where should I go? What should I avoid, right? If I need to get something fixed, I reach out to my friends who are always getting things done in their homes. Like, I don't go to Google, I go to my friends. That's where I go. I want to know from the source of people that I already know and love and respect, who they know, love, and respect. And
And
so go
oh,
ahead.
can I chime in? Sorry, I don't want to throw you off your game, but
Oh, you're
um,
good.
for some of my friends that are on this webinar, you guys, so much of what we've done historically in the past is we earmark a large portion of our budget towards Google paid ads, right? Or SEO or content. Like that was the game. And I think, you know, when AppIt saw some of our sales plateau, the reason why we were in that spot is because we had allocated all of our time, attention, and money towards optimizing like the traditional marketing channels on Google and other search engines. And it wasn't until I really forced myself out of my comfort zone. Elle, you can speak to that. That first session that I attended, I was so far out of my comfort zone, it wasn't even funny. And really started getting clear on who am I and why do I care so much about what I do, and started to really start to put some of that out there. The shift was immense. And so gone are the days of traditional like tech SaaS product marketing where it's Google paid spend, SEO, writing your blogs, put it like things out on LinkedIn. Like it makes sense and that does work, but it shouldn't be the only thing. Like it's becoming very quickly not nearly as efficient as everything that you've talked about. So I just wanted to chime in with that, because some of my friends that are on here, like I see you guys and I know you were in the same boat as I was.
Thanks for sharing that. That's so, I mean, it's true, 100%. So what we're seeing here is broken down in generations. So Gen Z and younger millennials consider someone who has a personal brand to be a content creator. So what they are telling us is they are seeking content that they want to engage in and learn from. So if you're putting content out there that's interesting and it's helpful and it's valuable, they want it. They see you as a personal brand and they're more likely to trust you. Now, older millennials, so 35, 44, they say that they consider someone who has a personal brand as someone who's an expert or a professional services providers. So in other words, they're professional, they're an expert, they're someone they hold in high esteem that can actually educate them, that they can learn from and inform them on whatever it is. So that's huge, because what they're saying is, I see you as an expert, I'm willing to trust you, and I want to work with you. And then we have our Gen X and baby boomers, who they consider someone who has a personal brand as someone who's well known. So meaning people know who you are, they know what you do, they know what you offer, they know your results, they know your values, they know you. So all of these are achievable, right? Like you can actually appeal to every generation just by putting out content, positioning yourself as an expert, and being consistent where they feel like they know you and they see you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if we were to sum this up, the majority of Americans consider a personal brand as someone who's recognizable. So if you can make yourself more recognizable, think about how that impacts your business. And if you're unsure, look at this. Like if you're unsure, 63% of Americans are saying they're more likely to do business with you and to recommend you and buy from you if you have an established brand. 57% not only are likely to recommend you, but 55% are more likely to do business with you. So that's important, because most people, more than half, are saying, yes, I will give you my money, I will give you my time, I will give you the opportunity to sell me because I trust you more because you have a brand. Now for single, I don't know if anyone's single here, I am. So if you spend time building your brand, 30% of Americans are more likely to date you. Now, I haven't found that to be true yet, but time will tell. So these stats have nothing to do with being famous or popular. It's because they actually have the opportunity to get to know you and see what you're about and decide if you align. So your personal brand is an opportunity for you to share yourself, what you're about, what is important to you, what you're interested in, and allow for people to build that relationship with you. So it's not, you don't have to share everything, but think about what is the strategy that you can draw people in to get to know you, why your business is important to you, why you started it, how you're helping people, how you're serving them, and how you're going to make their lives better, how you're going to add value, how you're going to make sure they're happy at the end of the day, because that's all what people want, is to be happier. And so if we take it a step further, we have age trends that we actually see. Because Americans believe service professionals must have a personal brand. And that might be surprising and it might be a little bit of a shock because for us, like we thought it was about authors and speakers and podcasters and trainers and coaches, consultants, influencers, so on and so forth. Like we thought that was the most important group of people, but we were wrong. So if you think about it this way, and it makes so much sense, if you're having access to the most intimate part of someone's lives, if you're coming into their homes, if you are looking at their finances, if you are helping them with the huge challenge in their life of something that's so important to them, helping them create memories, whatever it is that you do, it's like ultimately the value of them feeling like they trust you on the front end and know who you are and know if you align with them matters. And so if you look at this slide, 74% of older millennials compared to 48% of boomers are more likely to assume that if you have a personal brand, that you're a credible source of expertise. Like that's almost double. So the more trust that is involved in what you do with a client, the more intimate that relationship is, the higher the need is for a personal brand. It's so crazy. It's mind-blowing. So at the end of the day, again, the higher the requirement for trust, the more important it is for you to have a brand, which means the more money someone wants to spend with you, the more trust is usually required on the front end. Okay, so now people always wonder, like, okay, well, I have a strong corporate brand, a strong company brand. Like, why would I build my brand and not the company? And this is something like we're always battling as people are in this old school approach of like company branding. But people don't do business with companies or with products or services or information. They do business with people, right? So we're going to roll through and look at some case studies here. Half of Americans, like this is huge, say that a personal brand is more influential than a large company's brand today. And when it comes to generational variance, the majority of millennials really think this. So millennials say individuals who promote content and ideas are more influential in their purchasing decisions. Now, if you look at it, that's more older millennials, right? So if you look at how you're marketing your current offerings today, think about how does this allow you to shift the approach there? So our marketing approach today should really be more focused on free value-adding information. It should be about content and ideas, not just about a product or a service. So it's a very slight shift in your approach, but it makes a huge financial impact on your business. So now if you look at this, 58% of Americans are willing to pay more money to receive services from a professional who doesn't work for a large company, but who has an established personal brand instead. So pause here for a second. Just go ahead, pause, because I believe this is probably one of the first times in a long time, if not ever, that there's been data like this. What people are saying now is I actually prefer to work with someone who doesn't work at a large company where they're just another person underneath a big logo. I would rather much buy from and work with someone with an established personal brand that I know about, that I like, that I trust, who doesn't even work at a company. I don't even care if they have a big company and employee count behind them. It's about the individual. Like that's what people want now. So what does this actually look like in real life? Here's a case study. So what we're going to look at, about a year or two ago, Victoria's Secret went under the largest corporate rebrand in the history of the US, right? It's one of the largest corporate rebrands ever. And it was due to a few factors. They were losing market shares for the last decade. And in the last 5 years, their audience drastically shifted. There are now a lot more new competitors in the marketplace than ever before. So because of this, instead of shifting their business model, they decided to try a different angle. They chose to leverage the reputations of people that were well known, people that already had established personal brands, who were known for societal contributions, not just their measurements. And so that made a drastic shift to take people with personal brands with large audiences and leverage them to grow the corporate brand. So what does that mean is that companies aren't marketing their own companies anymore. They're identifying an audience, and then they're looking at who has an audience that resonates with that. and who is their audience following, and how do they partner with those people instead, and who has the person that they want to appeal to. And so one of the people that they hired was Priyanka Chopra, who's now married to a Jonas brother. Oh, did that not go over? There we go. So if you look at her, she's a tech investor, she's an international actress, and she has more online followers than the entire Victoria's Secret brand. We're talking about an individual who garnered an online following larger than a corporate brand who spends hundreds of millions in marketing and advertising every year. So this is a company that's been around for decades versus one person probably spends no money on marketing and advertising and has been known to our population for about 10 years, right? Like, think about that for a second. It's about the power and influence of an individual's reputation that matters, of someone they know, like, and trust versus an entity. So if we move on to another example, now I don't know much about soccer, y'all. Like, that's not the world I live in. Nashville just got a professional soccer team, so I'm getting a little bit more involved. But there's a guy, Leo Messi, and earlier this year he made a really unexpected and unprecedented swap from his home club of Barcelona to a club in Paris. And it was completely out of nowhere. So the amount of money that is involved in sports, y'all, it's crazy. So if you look at this, tweet, in the first 24 hours after he arrived in Paris, like, if you look at this club in Paris, they were paying him an annual salary of 41 million to come over. This team is not great. Like, this team does not have a ton of money. They're not great. They're not like one of the top teams in the world. But if you look at the first 24 hours of his arrival, they sold over 832,000 jerseys with his name on it. So he brought in $105 million in revenue in his first 24 hours. And if you look at that as like a 10% profit margin, that's 10 million in net. Right? 41 million salary and made 105 million in revenue within 24 hours because of his name. So if you look at his Instagram alone, right, he has 260 million, just under 260 million followers and fans on Instagram, only Instagram, no other platform. If you compare that to the club's Instagram, which was 38.8 before he joined, it went up at 6 times the following in just one day because he went to that team. So from this example, you can see in sports and corporations and all industries, leveraging the individual is really key. And so identifying who that person is, who is well known, who is loved, who has a following, that's what's going to help grow the company. Again, going back to looking at yourself as a brand, how can you build that to grow your company? There's a lot of information I'm throwing at y'all. So if you want a copy of all the data, you can go ahead and scan this QR code. I can also send the link out later, but you can get all the information plus more that I'm sharing today in here and share it with your marketing person to see how you can shift your approach a little bit more.
And
but go ahead.
Really quick, chiming in here just to give people time to scan this.
Mm-hmm.
What you were just talking about the importance of people on the team and how that furthers your brand. This is why, so I personally have been working with you guys for 2 years. And this is why now I'm expanding it to 5 key members of my team, because it was never really about AppIt's brand necessarily. It's about the people that live out our brand every single day. And I think expanding personal branding for your employees gives you more social proof and credibility for the things that you say your corporate brand is, right? And I think beyond that, what I'm most excited about is each of the members on my team, while they have their own unique individual way of being, we're very homogenous in our values, but diverse in our backgrounds. And I love that I get the opportunity to tell that story in a human way, right? It's not marketing. It's not just a blog. It's not just a fancy tagline. It's not just a fancy logo. It's not just our values posted on the wall. These are the humans that are living and breathing what we do and how we do it and what we say we are. and it gives so much more credibility. It's like pouring rocket fuel on our corporate brands.
Yeah.
Because like you said, people do business with people. They don't do business with brands.
Yeah. I love that. So well said. I was like, let me clip that and use that. That was awesome, Amanda. Thank you. So, but yeah, we'll keep going here. Okay. So if we look at this, everything at the end of the day, the equation equals more trust, more sales, more referrals, more loyalty for you, right? That also means there's going to be a lot more work to do. So becoming more accessible, allowing the right audience to get to know you, growing your social media, like that takes time and work. But this is why social media exists. Like it's not where all the power lies. It's a small part of your brand that allows you to have a large reach. And it can also be a way to get to know someone behind the company, just like Amanda was saying, right? Like it's a way for people to know who you are. So the other thing is this is a retention tool. Like it's hard to find great talent. Most people, if you look at this, will accept a job if the company founder has a strong established personal brand. Our company's proof of it. We don't have to recruit, like our clients want to come work for us. Our friends want to come work for us. It is a way that you can truly recruit people without putting out ads and trying to hire headhunters and so on and so forth. It's also a retention tool. So that's the other value of it as well. But 2/3, and this, this kind of goes in Amanda, but I find this super interesting, is 2/3 of Americans think companies should teach their employees, everyone, how to build a brand. Why? Just like you said, it's like you did this presentation for, we all know that our best ambassadors are the people who are willing to work for us. Like we spend 60% of our waking lives at work. So if your people aren't willing to be ambassadors and advocates and evangelists of your brand, of your company, then you have some problems. And if you have that issue, you have to ask yourself, why aren't we investing in the power to utilize our employee base for our customer base, to be advocates and ambassadors of what we do? Why aren't we? And that's the gist of it. Because at the end of the day, again, trust is established faster if you have a public facing personal brand. Like that's just the way it is today. And that equates into more sales, right? So becoming more accessible for yourself, allowing the right audience to get to know you, is going to allow you to move this faster. It's funny, I recently, I don't know if y'all, I can't see you, so I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the company. It's a franchise called Clean Eats. I started going to Clean Eats years ago when I lived in Charleston. And then when I moved to Nashville, I kept going to Clean Eats. And I've been a consumer of theirs for years. And I stopped going because where it's located in Nashville is in an area that always has high traffic. And that's the last thing I want to do. But recently, the people who started that company became clients of ours. And I was like, oh my gosh, need to talk to you. And now that I know them, guess who's going back to Clean Eats again? Me, because I know them, right? So it's like, now I want to support you even more because I put a face with the company versus before it didn't have one for me. And so it just, it influences buying decisions all the time. And now that they're working on their personal brand, I'm more likely to give them my loyalty and tell more people about them and put them in every presentation that I can. So with that being said, if you look at this, think of companies that organizations should invest in developing the personal brands of their leaders, right? Like, are you currently doing that? And looking at the generations that actually think it matters, the most common that you see across the board are going to be older millennials. My guess is most people on this call have older millennials working for them. Like that should tell us in the direction of what we should be doing for retention with our team and also growth of our company. So going back to, we're going to transition in what this actually looks like in real life for a founder and how they have impact. 88% of older millennials believe companies are more influential and effective if the founder has a brand, right? We've said this before. So think of Elon Musk, and this has nothing to do with Tesla. Believe it or not, this really only has to deal with influence and impact that one individual has. because he built a brand that people liked and they trust, right? And it impacts not just their purchase decisions, but how they act and react. So he's a great example. The majority of his followers are on Twitter, right? I don't know how much he has now, but obviously there's a lot of change there. But at the time of this, 60 million followed him on Twitter. And if you compare that against Bitcoin, the currency he invested in, right, they only had 3.2 million followers online. And so in 2021, we've seen large fluctuations up and down and everywhere. But when looking at the significance of audience versus reach, the power of the individual will always prevail, even in the financial market. So last January, or January 2021, he changed his Twitter handle to #Bitcoin. So the price of Bitcoin went up almost 20% instantaneously. Then he started talking about how he wasn't sure if crypto was good for the environment. And he threw the idea around about making changes and possibly ending accepting Bitcoin as payment. Next thing you know, it dropped 12%. Then a few weeks later, he changed his tune and pumped it back up, and it went back up almost 11%. Why? Because people trust and align with him and his personal brand surrounding technology and innovation and futuristic thinking. So in this case, his tweet directly correlated to how people chose to spend their money. And it reiterates why aligning power of influence and trust is imperative. When people have gotten to see you and know from you, you influence the way they think. So that's really the essence of influencer marketing. It's the way that they influence what you buy and you sell. Like, it's crazy how much of an impact he had on just that one industry. So this also, like, to share in real time, and you guys might actually remember this, but Cristiano Ronaldo, another soccer player. If you don't follow soccer, you might not know this, but he's actually the #1 user worldwide on Instagram. And you might have thought it was like the Kardashians or Taylor Swift, whatever, but it's him. And he's known for his commitment to health and fitness and wellness. And he's so strict and disciplined. And, what he's really known for is his extreme talent for soccer. Now, I chose to follow him for other reasons, but, ultimately it's soccer. That's why people are dedicated to him, is because of his excellence in all the pursuits, right? So if you look at him, he has 587 million total followers online. And you might be wondering, why is his picture up here next to Coca-Cola? If he's a wellness specialist and an athlete, like, why Coca-Cola? So look at the numbers: 587 million, 111 million, right? Iconic brand, been around for 100 years, spend huge amounts of money on advertising every year. They still only have 11 million followers online. So let that sink in. The power of person versus corporation, super evident, but it gets better. So in June of 2022, he sat down at a press conference, and in front of him on the table were 2 bottles of Coke. And he sat down, and as someone who's committed to wellness, slowly moved the bottles off screen, and he grabbed something else. He grabbed a bottle of water and simply said agua. That's it. He didn't say anything bad about Coca-Cola. He didn't say anything against it. He made it very clear he doesn't drink Coke. He drinks water. Now, Dasani, which is the company that made the water, is actually owned by Coca-Cola. But the point that he was making clear to his fans and his followers is his commitment to who he is and what he believes in. Like, it was evident. Okay. So fast forward, the impact of Coke within 16 minutes was a 1.6% drop in stock value, which equated to $4 billion. $4 billion. All he had to do was take a stand for water, and it equated to a $4 billion drop in stock. So who has more influence today? The person or the company? Right? It's the person. That's super clear. So when it comes to building a brand, when you combine the two, when you have a strong corporate brand, a strong company brand, and a strong established personal brand, when you pair them together and mix it, you create massive influence. Massive influence. But what surprises people more than anything is what the most important factor is in someone's decision-making. It's testimonials. 62% of Americans say testimonials is the most important thing in deciding who to purchase from. And that blew our minds, right? Like 62% are saying the number one factor in deciding if I want to work with you is whether or not other people want to work with you. Like, it's relatable testimonials. It's one other person telling you what it's like to work with you, telling another person what it's like to work with you. That has the most significant factor in deciding who to work with. It's a precedent for building a solid reputation, is what other people say about you, what other people think of when they think of you. So the next factor is how you're perceived. And this is something you can implement immediately. So when looking at the study, we found that these factors we would expect to be high importance. We found that people held the same level of high importance when deciding who to hire and who to spend time with. So that's why it's significant in the world of branding and for all of us that you're perceived as an expert. Like, a lot of people go like, I need to write a book, I need to speak, I need to have a top 50 podcast. Like, and we spent years writing and editing a book and getting it published by a well-known house. And it took so much time. And if that's a calling on your heart, like, go do it. But if you're looking for the best way to spend your time and money and resources building your personal brand, your reputation, and your business, like books and speaking and all that is the wrong place to start. So I would recommend taking a look hard at this information, maybe even taking a screenshot and go, am I really spending my time and energy in the right places, right? Am I really positioning myself in the right position, like in the right frame, I guess you would say, for someone to want to work with me? And where can you shift these priorities with it, right? Because ultimately what we think, if you look online, people go, I'm a thought leader, I'm a host, I'm a strategist, I'm a trainer. Like, those have the least amount of credibility. It's expert, CEO, founder. Like, that's what people want, because that's what they think is credibility. That's what they think is expertise. And that means something when you're deciding how to title yourself, right? People love the idea of being a thought leader and being an influencer. And what we're seeing is that don't matter. Like, screw that, right? People want to see you leveraging your real firsthand experience and expertise. So if you're a founder of something, if you're CEO, if you're an expert, it means that you can guide someone through a process. It means that you have a manual, you have a guidebook, you've done it, you have the experience that they can learn from, that they can trust, and that you've been through their shoes, like you've stepped in their shoes. So sharing your personal experiences of your journey, personally and professionally, that will allow you to grow your audience. And so right now, I'm just curious, like, think about, how are you getting across who you are? Not just what you do, but how are you getting across, like, who you are as a person? What are you putting out there? Now, a question we always get is, and I want to share this and I don't want y'all to miss out, is, well, what should I be sharing online, right? Like, what do people value when they decide who to follow online? And I'll start with the two highest results on both categories is what matters most to the younger generations, like Gen Z and Millennials, and what matters to the older ones, like Gen X and Boomers, right? So if you look at, it's not just about personality, but it's personality-driven content. So younger generations, like if you look, they're looking at entertainment and visual aesthetic and personality and who else you engage with, like they want the personality-driven content. When you look at the older generations, what they want is the relevance, right? It's not just about the information itself, but how does this apply to me? They're looking for hyper-specific topics. They're looking for data of what it means to where they are in their lives, their business, where younger ones, they're not necessarily looking at what's relevant to them, but what's more revealing about you. So I think this is a place probably worth noting of, if you look at who you're trying to attract in your business, are you allowing them to get to know you, or are you putting out content that's super hyper relevant to them? So 67% of older millennials say they check out the online presence and personal brand of someone before they hire them. Like, that's more than 2/3. So the first place that the group is going to go is they're going to go online and they're going to check you out before they ever hire you. And that could be social, that could be your website, it could be a podcast, it could be a blog, it could be LinkedIn, it could be anywhere, but the more places they can find you, the better. Now, this is what also surprises people. across all generations, the number of followers is the least important factor, right? When it comes to who they follow, engage with, like, share online, it's not about the number of followers. And I included that because we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients. Like, I would say the majority of them at some point in their journey have fixated on, I need to get more followers and I need more engagement. And many of us are under the impression that those mean something. And unless your business is getting brand deals, it doesn't. All right. The data shows the majority of Americans believe these things matter the least. They don't care about how many hearts and likes and shares or reposts. It's not about seeing it. It's about the message behind your posts. It's about how relevant it is and if they feel like it is genuine or not. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are, and it's definitely not about who follows you. So that should be good news for all of us, right? The other thing to know is that the next question we always get is, when should I post? Right? Like, what's the right time to post? And Americans are saying they're likely to look at social media before they go to bed. Next was when they wake up. And I agree with that in my own life, right? I'm not saying it's good for your mental health, but that's what data shows. And Americans are saying, if you want to reach me, I'm checking my social media before I turn in for the day and when I start the day. That's what I'm looking. And a surprising stat, 38% admitted that they look at it when they're in the bathroom. Like, here's the thing, y'all. That means the rest of the world is a liar, right? Like, so I don't know how true this study is, that only 38% admitted to looking at it in the bathroom, but I don't know anyone who goes to the bathroom without their phone. Like, I don't know. So I think that's baloney. But coming back to this, the point is, if you really want to get your engagement up, when you post does matter. And it's about showing people who you are and not about what you do. And it's about finding your uniqueness and exploiting that to serve other people. It's about doing things that only you can do, because only you can do them. You're you. No one else is you, right? Like, only you have this unique superpower that can do a certain thing that can help someone that others want to see. They don't want to see more of the same thing. They want to see more of you and your original unique self. So I know we're kind of getting to the end here, and I'm throwing a lot at you. So what I would like to do is offer y'all, like, if you want to discover what this looks like in your brand, if I'm saying things and you're going, yeah, we probably could use that, it's probably worth a conversation, have a conversation. We have a ton of free content online. You can follow the Influential Personal Brand podcast. You can go to our website, brandbuilders.com, brandbuildersgroup.com, and click on free resources to get a bunch of free content. But I also like to invite you to schedule a free call. It's going to be with one of our strategists, and it kind of starts the discovery process of how this will work for you and your business and your brand. And if that's the only thing you ever do with us, like, great, it's a great place to start, right? So you can either scan the QR code here, you can type a free call in the chat, or you could go to the link freebrandcall.com/AppIt Ventures, and we'll get you set up on a free call.
Elle,
So
can I add a few other tidbits that I wanted to share?
Yeah, I have a few more slides, but then you want to do it now? Okay.
No,
so I'm just wrapping up here.
I wanted to catch it just to give people time to scan the QR code.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing that I wanted to share is, I can see the attendees, and I know you guys, and I know you guys are people of strong character. And each one of you, I have asked advice from before. I have gone to on my difficult days. I respect you as professionals. And I didn't want the moment to pass where Elle was talking about, it's less about what you do and more about who you are. Because I think what we're missing now more than ever is how people share their character and they put that on display. I think that that's more needed now than what we do. And then, I can see some of my friends on here that aren't necessarily founders or entrepreneurs, but you are absolutely experts in your field. And I think a lot of times, most of these leaders that I'm seeing, we're victims of our own humility. But one of the things that Brand Builders taught me is that humility is for the in-person interaction. and your personal brand is really, it's your responsibility to get really clear on who you are and how you serve and disseminate that information, because not only are you inspiring your customers, but you're really speaking to a marketplace that is devoid of inspiration, especially in the tech space. And so I don't know, I just wanted to pass along that little nugget of wisdom that humility is for the in-person interaction. And there are absolutely experts on this webinar that I can see. And I would absolutely follow anybody here, just because I need some goodness, like not just the cesspool that's LinkedIn. Like I want to see like real, meaningful, thoughtful content that's coming from the hearts and minds of the people on this call.
That's so good. So good. I recently, that event I attended, I don't know the exact quote, but and I don't, regardless of if you believe in, God or spirit or source or universe or like, another thing yourself, I think it was a faith-based thing that was shared, but it was ultimately like humility, like how that was designed was for you to become more of who you are. Like the most humble thing you can do is just like be more of who you are. And I think there was more to it that I didn't quite capture, but I just like heard that and I was like, oh my gosh, like that is how you honor like X, Y, and Z yourself, is just being completely you. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that actually leads right into like closing out here. It's not about what y'all do. It's about who you are. When people know you and trust you and like you, you're always going to have security. The reason I know this is we started this company after a very difficult, very unexpected, fast overnight exit from another company. And we were able to create a 7-figure business in 1 year. And it wasn't because we threw money at paid traffic or because we were celebrities or anyone had a huge online following. In fact, we didn't have social, we didn't have a website, we didn't have anything. But we had a reputation that was built on value, credibility, trust, and relationship. And so building your business will never be nearly as important as building your reputation. Reputation always will precede revenue. You may change your business all throughout your life. You might pivot, you might go, do something else, but your reputation will be with you wherever you go. So if you focus on building your reputation, your business will always compound.
Love it. Oh gosh, thank you so much. I thought, does anyone have any questions? You can either drop it in Q&A, or if you want to raise your hand, I can unmute you if you guys want to speak directly. And if you guys have anything that comes up after the webinar, like I think sometimes when you're hit with this amount of information, it takes a minute to soak in. So you can always reach out to me. I can connect you directly with Elle. But again, Elle, I can't thank you enough, like what you've done for my business and me personally. And I think the work that you helped me with just on that first part, like defining your brand, changed everything for me and for AppIt. But I mean, you guys have years worth of content, from like how to get referral leads, how to effectively market with the 3 E's, how to do your launch plan. I mean, and these are strategies that once you learn, you get to repeat time and time and time again with every, I think, growth spurt of your business, every iteration of your product, anything that you're doing. That you guys are teaching skills. It's not you're delivering the service. You're teaching skills that live throughout the entire life of your business. And just the way that you guys have taught me and helped me grow as a professional, like I'll never be able to thank you guys enough for what you've done for me. So
we're just getting started, in my opinion.
Oh, geez. I know. Does anybody have any questions at all, or did I just blast you guys?
I was like, did I give so much information? Everyone's like, okay, I'm done. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think if we don't have any questions, I'll just send you all away with gratitude. And obviously, anytime you need anything, give me a call. But reach out to Elle. It's not like the awkward sales, like it's none of that. Just do yourself a favor and learn more. And I don't really I don't do this for a lot of other services. Like you guys really have changed everything for me. So
I
thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just threw in the chat my personal email and then my LinkedIn as well. If y'all want to take a second and grab that, just put that in the chat and then I'll throw in that.
Oh, we got a question. We got one. Oh, uh,
What?
Bjorn just said great presentation, and I
Oh,
know
thank you.
because Bjorn, I love Bjorn. Like he says, if you're in the services business, you're in the people business, and people need to be trusted. And conversations with Bjorn has always been about like, yeah, we have the brand, whatever. People don't work with the brand; they work with people. And shout out to Bjorn. Like through our relationship, he's referred to me just some powerful people on my team, and it's all
Mm,
because of expertise and trust and starting from a place of good character and serve first. And how do you magnify that to where your customers are? And
mhm.
that's what you do at the end of the day, Elle. And I'm
Yeah,
so grateful for you.
yeah.
So thank you
Well,
guys.
appreciate you.
All right, guys. Well, happy Tuesday. If you're in Colorado, stay warm. If you're in Nashville, good afternoon to everyone but you. And we'll see
Um,
you guys soon.
Thank you.
All
Talk to
right,
you
bye
later.
guys.